Hello everyone and welcome back to John Builds. Okay, as you can see, Victory's back on the table. Not worked on it for about, well, I worked on it a little bit this week, but before that I'd not worked on it for about 6 weeks, and obviously I'm working on my software cam a little bit, but also I'll tell you why I'd decided to have a break from it for a minute. Okay, so if you watched me in the last video, I was pretty much, I'd done all this deck and I was about to stain it, and I was going to move on to fitting. I'm going to fit all the Admiral cabin fronts and then the poop deck. But as you can see between here, there's actually a difference between the two decks. So this is the original deck that I laid about 6 weeks ago, and this is the a new deck. So I know what you're thinking. What do you mean a new deck, John? What have you been doing again for the last month rather than cracking on with a build? So a lot of people who's been watching my channel for the last 5 years knows that I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So I can't just if I'm not happy with something, I can't just let it go and think it'll be all right. So I stained the deck, and I stained this with like an oak deck. I asked people what the thought would be the best stain to use. So I used that one. I mean, no matter what I could do, I wasn't happy with how this looked. Because one of the issues I've got is this model's been built before, and it was built around about 6 years before it was before I took it over, and the poop deck and some of all the lower decks as well, there's already been built and stained, so there was only really this top deck that needed to do. So I've had real trouble matching this top deck to all the other decks. So once I built and stained this, I just wasn't happy with how it looked, and there's just no way I could have left it, even though my partner said it looks absolutely fine. The guy who I'm building for said it looked fine. For me, it didn't look fine. So what I decided to do, I've kind of gone back to the drawing board. I ordered some strip wood that it tells you to use on the instructions, and I thought I would completely overlay the deck. So I ordered some more strip wood and decided to cut it all down. So this is strip wood. This is the I can never pronounce the name, so I'll put it on screen. And this is 4 by 0.5. So in the instructions it tells you to use 4 by 1, but that's because you're normally laying it on straight onto a plywood deck rather than a deck that I'd already laid. So I didn't want to increase the thickness by a mil, so I decided to use 0.5. So all you have to do is exactly the same as lay the deck. I just had to cut these into a lot of strips of 85mm long. So once you've got all your strips cut at 85mm long, and then you can start to lay them exactly how you did previously. So as you can see, it's like a free formation, so pretty much they overlap each other by 35mm. So when you lay that one in, the next one above that overlaps it by 35mm, and it continues that way. So I was taking some of my PVA. This is just PVA glue. I always put into a smaller tub just so I can use it, but it's actually just this Gorilla Glue. I use this all the time over the last 5 years. When anything I've glued together that's wood, I use this Gorilla Glue. But I also just transfer it into a smaller pot just so I can kind of get it a little bit easier. Use a paintbrush on it. So just move that back out of the way. So all I'm going to do is just layer on a little bit of this PVA. That brush has gone a little bit dry, so I'm wetting it off a bit. And it's a really nice thin coat. Push them into this opening. I'd say don't worry about it too much if you get it on the plank that's already down, because we'll just wipe that off after. Already this glue becomes very tacky. You can feel it how it drags the paintbrush, so it's already becoming really tacky. Okay, so what we're going to do then is take us one of those little strips. I'm just going to lay it. I'm just going to lay this one in first, so I'll get a nice tight joint. So that's an 85mm strip, and then I'm going to lay the next one just in. And then we just start to fill in the spaces. So right at the end I need a piece, it's about 35mm. I want to just cut slightly under 35mm, and that one drops in. And then one more, that's about 76. If it bubbles up like that, it means obviously a little bit long, so it just means I just take just a touch off it. So I've still not quite set up 100% how I want to be when I have to like do little cuts. I'll have another camera overhead on this cutting mat over here, so you can quickly swap them over. That should fit nicer now, and it does. And then we'll just carry on filling in the spaces. So that glue has been sat a couple of minutes while I've been putting the other planks in, so I'm just going to re-layer that over that. And like I say, the really thin layers overlapping each other just become so tacky. It pretty much instantly sticks. And let's get another 85. So I get a lot of my extra timber from Cornwall model boats, and it's absolutely excellent. But going forward, eventually, I would like my own really excellent mini table saw. So for things like this, I'll just buy large stock and I'll cut them down myself, because yeah, when you're cutting things at like 4mm, I mean, sometimes you might get them 4mm, sometimes you might get them 3.9, sometimes you might get them 4.1, and obviously you think, well, it's a fraction of a millimetre, but when you're laying deck down and things like that, a fraction of a millimetre can make all the difference. So let's put one more, just needs that. Let's cut one more, just slightly needs that, just under 55, and just slip this one in. And pretty much all I'll do then is just continuously, there's about 3 more rows. I'll just finish this off, and then we'll look about obviously sanding this deck and getting it all nice and ready for varnish. Okay, so I've now finished off just planking all this this rest of this deck. So now this deck is 100% complete. So if you think it looks like it's raised more than this section, that's because it is. That's because I've already sanded a lot of this already. Okay, so when I sanded my deck originally, I used this Peroxin little mini sander, and this is excellent, but it just took too long. So what I've done, I decided just to invest in just one of these little hand sanders. It's about 100mm across, by about 30mm wide, and it comes with a load of little sanding sticks. So yeah, let me find them. And it comes with all these little sanding stick accessories. It's looking nice, so you pull them off and then just stick them back on. I'm using 400 grade at the minute. Like I say, I think it goes up to 80 grade all the way down to 600 grade. Yeah, so I think this costs £6 off Amazon, so yeah, can't go wrong really. Okay, so pretty much all we're going to do with this deck is, well, just some of the other things I completed as well in the last video. I've completed all this this waist ladders and this mast cap, so that's all fitted. It just needs sanding and just varnishing. This is flexible. This will be glued in right at the end. I've actually got it so I can just lay it down out of the way at the minute, but when it's finally all sanded and varnished, and that'll be fitted in its final position, which is not there. Yeah, that's its final position, which will then look like that. And then when we stick the mast in, that'll all just be sealed off, look like that. And also I have actually finished off the Admiral's companionway and the mast cap for the bosom mast as well, so that's been finished off. Okay, so sanding this deck. This is still a little bit wet, so I can't really do too much with that yet, but all I'm going to use is just 400 grade sandpaper. And then we don't want to be going like this or any other way. We want to be kind of going with the grain. So all I'm going to do, because this has got a nice little 30mm head, I'm just going to get it in between all these sections. I'm just going to lay it backwards and forwards. Same as anything, sanding's a labour of love. It's you do what as little as you want for the finish you want. Okay, so when you've sanded it all, so when you've sanded the entire full length of the deck, what I tend to do then is I go over with a tack cloth, and this is exactly what it says in the package. It's just a tacky cloth. It's about somewhere, yeah, it's just down here. Yes, it's just a tacky cloth. Feels a bit like a meshing, but it's all like tacky. So then what I'll do is I'll go over and I'll pick up all the fine sanding dust from when I'm sanding the deck. I say it is a little bit stringy, so you have to be careful that it can get wrapped up a little bit around parts that you've already fitted. Like I say, these wouldn't have been fitted. It's only because I've decided to relay the deck that's on, and I don't really want to pull it off. I could work around it. So once I've done that, I'll just get a little bit of this compressed air in a can. I've got a compressor, but I turn it on, it makes a load of noise, so I can just use this, and I'll just blow off some more of the, if there's any more of the sanding dust. It'll blow it all off. So like I say, all I've got to do now is I've pretty much got to go over the entire deck, get it completely sanded, and then it'll be ready for some varnish. Okay, so yeah, so I'll pretty much spend the rest of this afternoon getting all this sanded, ready to varnish. I haven't got any varnish yet. I've ordered it and I'm still waiting for that. And I've gone with what it says in the instructions. I'm just using a matte polyurethane varnish. In the instruction it tells you to give you that, just 2 coats. So once that arrives, hopefully all this deck will be nice and sanded, and I can give it a complete couple of coats of matte varnish. So then we'll be able to move on to the next stage. I'll be at the stage where I was about a month ago. And the next stage is we can start fitting out some of these bulwarks. So these are the bulwarks for the Admiral's quarters. They're going to go like that. I'll put it on this side so it's easier for you to see. So yeah, they'll line out all the Admiral's quarters. So I'm going to pretty much, just in the instruction, it kind of gives you a plain finish. So I've got quite a bit of this strip wood left, so I'm probably just going to line it. I'm just going to line it with strip wood, so it actually looks more like it's actually planked rather than just this plain piece of ply. So that's a future video. So then we can turn his attention to the cabin front, and there's going to fit just either side of this and just in front or behind the Admiral's companionway. So then they can look like that. So these are really nice, but I'm fortunate enough to obviously they sent these upgraded ones from Neil at Woolies Model Works. These are a complete cabin front upgrade, and these are in a walnut. And the difference with these is we get all these get like the window panes into the kit as well, and we also get these little column fronts. So rather like where the column fronts have been kind of cut into the kind of wood itself, when we build these up, we then stick the column fronts on the wood, so it'll make it look a little bit more 3D, a little bit more authentic to the Victory itself. So yeah, that'll be in the next week's video. Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to moving this this build on. Like I say, it slew me down. Excuse me. Excuse me. Like I say, I've got slowed down a little bit with obviously having to relay the deck twice. It's you know, it's like you can spend weeks doing a deck and then I had to redo it. Personal choice, but I just wouldn't have been happy with it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, just a little bit of an insight exactly how I lay my deck and how you lay your deck yourself. If you want me to do a complete guide on how you lay a deck on the original piece of plywood that comes with a kit, just let me know and I can do that. But if you enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to subscribe. About 80% of people who watch my videos are not actually subscribed, and so if you just subscribe to the channel, it just it lets YouTube know that my channel's worthwhile and people are getting some kind of entertainment from it. Because model shipbuilding is a bit of a dying art. It's not really, it's never going to be trending again. It's never really going to get recommended that much to people on YouTube. So yeah, if you could just give the video a like, leave a comment, it helps get my message out that obviously build wooden ships. So anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care, everyone. Stop.